Is there anything that could have kept Anakin Skywalker from turning to the dark side? That's what I wanted to discuss in today's video. And there's a few things I wanted to mention about the topic, as well as important people and events that could have made things turn out a bit differently for Anakin. If you find these discussions interesting, please leave a like and subscribe, and let's get into the question at hand. I want to start by talking about someone who I believe would have had a big impact on Anakin staying in the light. Potentially even more so than Obi-Wan could have, and that's Qui-Gon Jinn if given the chance to be his master, who I really think could have been a true father figure slash mentor to Anakin. Not necessarily outright better than Obi-Wan as a mentor, but way better for Anakin specifically than Obi-Wan was able to be as Anakin's mentor. I also believe Qui-Gon's nature to challenge what the Jedi Council thinks, as well as someone who would be a lot more open to Anakin's attachments as well, is a really good thing to have Anakin grow up seeing and being able to relate to, instead of just having to suppress everything. I feel almost every fear and insecurity Anakin has, as long as Qui-Gon is there by his side to guide him along the way, I don't think it would be enough for him to be pushed to the dark side, or enough to have him fall for Palpatine's manipulation at least, because Qui-Gon would be there. And I think Qui-Gon would be able to provide Anakin with the guidance he needed, and I think maybe things could be a bit different. I think if there's any one person who could have made a significant change in the events that play out in Star Wars with Anakin Skywalker, I actually think it's Qui-Gon Jinn more than anybody. Which brings me to the next topic I want to discuss, which is the Jedi Council, whose negative reception to him since he was a boy and refusal to grant him the rank of master only fuels resentment. Specifically though, the way the Council treats Anakin as a boy and how little trust and faith they have in him is honestly kind of sad. That's a little ass boy y'all are really hating on. That's crazy. Though their fears and doubts were entirely misplaced, I feel like if the Council would have taken a different approach with Anakin, things again could have been different to an extent. Their initial dismissal of him being the chosen one too, and a lot of other honestly arrogant traits about the Council, I feel is why they were borderline clueless about his fall to the dark side. And like I was mentioning earlier, I feel like if someone like Qui-Gon is still alive and there for Anakin, he would actually be able to intercept and interfere in that as it's happening, or maybe even keep it from happening in the first place. That's what I think. Would either of these things really stop Anakin's fall, though? A point one of my best friends, Alec, mentioned that I wanted to talk about was how the Force chose Anakin. So maybe no matter what, his fate will remain the same, or at least lead to a very similar path, no matter what type of intervention could have been made in order to help him. However, I did think exploring these topics a little bit was worth the conversation, and at the very least interesting. And I do want to give another shout out to another one of my friends, Izzy, who asked this question to me and kind of got me thinking about it. A big shout out to him for being the one to propose this idea. Ultimately, if I had to give a conclusive thought as to what I really think about this topic, if I had to say if I think things could have been different, or if I think things would have relatively turned out the same, I really like what Alex said with how Anakin was chosen by the Force, or he was the Force's chosen one. So if you think about it, maybe no matter if Obi-Wan would have did something differently, no matter if the Council would have been a little bit more accepting of Anakin even from a young age, or even if Qui-Gon would have never felt a Darth Maul, even if all these things would have happened, it's very likely that Anakin still in some way would have suffered a tragic fate or a tragic destiny. I think ultimately I lean more towards no matter what, he was always going to bring balance to the Force, and I don't think he was ever meant to bring balance to the Force in a way the Jedi wanted, of course. It's kind of clear that that's not the case. And that's another a reason why I feel as if the Jedi are so arrogant as well. But that's a topic for another video. If you guys want to see that, please let me know. If you guys did like today's video, please leave a like. Please subscribe if you enjoyed the video and if you enjoy the content. I post daily Star Wars content almost each day. And I wanted to take the time today to talk about this little topic, go over it real quick with what I thought, and see what everyone else thought as well. So if there's anything you feel that I left out or feel that should be discussed in this, please drop it down in the comment section down below. I reply to every comment. And all the support on the channel means a lot to me, guys. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one.